This is the Build Out West podcast with your host Tony Hyde from Evolution House and Land Specialists and Catherine Smith from Build Bright Builder Brokers.
If you guys are looking to build in WA or simply curious to see what's going on in building, you guys are in the right place. We're here to give insight with professionals in the game, coming to give the inside scoop. Episodes are uploaded weekly, so don't worry, we don't skip a beat and you won't either. Like, share, subscribe, sit back, relax, and let's go.
Hello and welcome to the Build Out West podcast with your host Tony Hyde from Evolution House and Land Specialists and
Catherine Smith from Build Bright. How you going?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good.
Pretty exciting. Our first podcast. I've
Yes.
done a little bit in the past. You may have seen me from other ones, but
I am a virgin, as we all know.
That's great. Look, absolutely excited to be jumping in here with you, Catherine. You know, me and you're both in the builder broker game, and we'll touch on that a bit later, what we actually do and what that means. But look, who are we? So why are we here? So, like for me, podcast is here to try and educate about the building game in Perth. Right? There's so many different factors to it. Why it's in the state it's in. It's not as bad as people make out. Yeah, the prices are up, but I want to unpack that a little bit more. And the idea of the podcast is we're going to be releasing one every couple of weeks with industry experts on here, like finance experts and things like that, land agents, and talk about the best way to go through it. And let's get that education so people don't have to like worry about when they go in the building game or go to the big builders and the BGCs and get lost, right?
Yeah.
So that's the idea of the podcast.
I think also just giving probably an inside perspective of what's actually happening, not just what the media is saying. You know, like I went to my dentist the other day and he's like, oh, how's it going with the delays and things like that? And I'm like, I don't even want to hear this anymore. I'm so over talking about it for the last 2 years, you know, like COVID's over, delays are over. If delays are still happening, you chose the wrong builder 2 years ago. It's really that simple. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
No. And I think that's a really great segue to go into why we do who are we and what we do, right? So, you know, I've been in the industry a couple of years. We both worked at different companies. We both worked for a building broking company, and now we're venturing out on our own, right? And we see the value in that. What is a builder broker, Catherine?
A builder broker is probably like an independent third party that really just works for themselves, but really works for the client most importantly. So before going into the brokerage model, as you know, I worked directly for builders, but what that happens is you have to try and push your product to the client. When our client comes to me and they go, this is my profile, this is what I'm looking for, this is my budget, my design. And then I really just align them with the builder that suits that project. So it's really just flipping and reversing instead of saying, hey, yeah, sell, build with me. I'm really going, actually, you know what, this builder suits you best. So it's a little bit, non-biased really. And right hole, right peg, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Like our models are quite similar what we're doing. Hence the reason, you know, for all your listeners and that we are, you want to look competitors against each other, but we play in different markets with investors, first home buyers, second home buyers, but we cover it all. We'd probably say that Catherine's a bit more high market clients than I am. Hence me, my hat.
I think Tony says that, but yeah.
But no, look,
I don't mind a FIFO. I don't mind a FIFO.
No, as long as they've got the finance right and we can help them, you know. And that's the idea with the clients. For me, you know, when I got into the game, I was lucky enough to jump straight into the broker game and got taught really well by yourself and other people in the industry. Yeah. And what I really loved about what we do is given that option. You know, we've got I know me and you've both got kind of about 14 or 15 builders on our platform. We don't have like 5 of the same builder. We have 2 or 3 different ones, so we can move you. So if it's a double story or a battle axe blocks, and that stuff we'll go into later in other podcasts, guys, about what kind of land and what that means. But it means you can come to us with complete confidence that we'll find you the best deal. And even if we can't find you the best deal and you find a better deal, hey, let us check it for you. We know what we're looking for.
I think what it is like if a client goes, look, I'm looking for a really cheap but quality double-story builder, great, I got you. If you want more of a high-end custom double-story builder, that's a totally different builder. You know what I mean? So it's really just aligning myself with builders that fill all the gaps. So when a client comes, I'm like, I actually know a builder that's going to suit you really well. Yeah.
So look, for me, the building broken game it's really about helping those clients. You know, that's why I do it. You know, it's obviously it's a job and everyone wants to make money, and that's great, right? And it kind of suits a lifestyle. You know, having kids and stuff like that. You know, it works great. You know, a lot of weekends and evenings, but that's, you know, you get during the week off and stuff. But it's that helping that client. You know, I've seen people been building. They're just, you know, they've come to us when they're going through the process and they've just been screwed over, or the communication's bad, or whatever it should, or you know, dodgy sales guys who are just want to sign you on the deal and walk away. You know, that walk into the display homes and sign you up and then you don't hear from them again. And unfortunately, right up to about 2 days ago, that's still happening. You know, we're still getting clients coming through talking to us about it, going, I've signed with this client, this builder, I've not heard from 9 months, you know. So it's
I would actually say 30-40% of my clients have already signed with the builder and they're not happy for whatever reason. So basically, you know, prices, delay, they're not listening. It just isn't the right builder for whatever reason. Almost, you know, a third of my clients have already signed with the builder. And that's why when I sit with them, I'm like, how did you have this block and get this builder?
Yeah.
And then somehow they convinced you that that's the right fit, you know, like it's like I wouldn't even consider that builder. And then a lot of the times I actually have that builder on my books and I'm like, I would never put you with them if that was your block, you know, like it just doesn't make any sense, you know. And
it goes down that thing. And a part of what we're trying to do is educate, you know, like when you go and find the land and the builder or the rep finds you the land, that's got nothing to do with him. That's a complete contract between you and the land agent or the real estate. Again, we're going to go through all the stuff in the
I think what happens, and I know this because obviously I work directly for builders, what they do is they basically say land first, then builder. And the reason being, builder first, then land. And I say the reason being is they go, okay, if you're going to build with this builder, we're going to find you a block that suits that builder. Of course, you know, it's in their best interest. Then what that happens is, of course, that eliminates the block options, your locations, and your price, you know. So I had a client, basically one of their blocks was really close to the airport, so they needed to do like a lot of noise package, things like that on their build. And that builder has really astronomical pricing for sort of like double glazing and anti-con and whatever in the roof. So they just couldn't get what they wanted from that builder purely because it wasn't the right fit for a noise package build. Right.
Yep.
That's a classic example.
It's exactly why we do what we do, because we look at it and go, hey, that builder won't do that. That's not what they want. We know the builders. We sit down and have really good relationships with the builders so that we can work with them. And they know the type of clients that they want. If you're trying to put a square peg in a round hole, you mentioned that outside earlier on, it just doesn't work sometimes, right? So I agree that we've got to not manipulate it, but massage the situation to make it work, right? And that's where the process that we follow quite rigorously is really important, because you've got people, they go to the display homes, whatever, and they go, oh, you make this much money, you can earn this, or you can borrow this. That doesn't, you can get a rough ballpark figure, but you can't use that to go and then sign a commitment to building a house and stuff. You got to get a finance broker or go to a bank and find out what you can actually borrow and what your repayments are, and then find out what kind of size house you want, and then that'll dictate land or areas you can build in. Or if you want a big house in a certain area and you can't afford it, then you have to maybe take sacrifices, and that's what we can help you understand, because we know the prices of stuff. People saying, "Oh, but my friend built in Hammond Park for $450." Yeah, those days are gone, man. Long gone. Do you know what I mean?
You got a good deal.
Really good. I bet he's got 250K equity.
Oh,
I actually helping a client yesterday who was looking to get. She was asking about, I want to sell the house or use the equity. I said, get it valued first. Once we know the value, we can then look at equity and then go for finance. And she's in like the old part of QG.
Nice.
715K on a small 4x2, 10.5 front.
10.5.
Yeah, it's like a tiny wee 3x2 house. Well, it's not tiny; it's a decent size, but like as in 715K valued.
Pricing is crazy, and something I really want to touch on is people going, "Oh, the price to build now is so expensive." Yeah, but so is to buy established. It's exactly the same. Prices are going up. It's here nor there in terms of what you're getting. That's a classic example.
Yep.
My mother-in-law was looking at selling her house in Baldivis. I'm not joking. She got valued $850. Baldivis. Big block, 780 square meters.
Baldivis, it's quite nice still, yeah.
They have a vacant block next door from literally 15 years. That sold for $480, just the block, Baldivis.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
so $850 now it's getting silly, but that's the established market. So people talk about construction prices getting silly, but to be honest, the whole real estate is getting silly in a nutshell.
And that's the thing. What you might see as well, those people go, oh, I can get this house for, say it might be 50 grand cheaper to buy established or something, right? But I guarantee you're buying a heap of crap, and you're gonna have to pump 100 grand into it to get it how you want, you know, and it's a 1980s build, double brick, and it's all that kind of stuff. It might not be what you want, you know. At least then if you're going and buying or building, you know, you've got the option, you know. But again, we're not here to tell you don't buy established. We want to just give you options so you're educated and you can do both things, right?
I think there is a valid point in buying established in some certains, but then there's some areas to build, and I think it's case by case, right?
Well, what was that client we sat down with probably about 8 months ago, and we came in and we said, buy established, you've got the money, the capital, and the money to do the renovations and the skill set to do it. Like, you know, sometimes, you know, if the people have got the money, it doesn't make sense to to build, sometimes. And again, I won't force someone into I hate that forced sell market, you know. I like to take my time at the start, make sure we get it all right. So then when we sign all the paperwork, it's a really smooth process doing the contracts and that. And again, I want to go into that a little later. That's going to be another podcast we're going to go. Today, we're really just going to focus on why we're doing a podcast, who we are, what we do, and then, you know, just talk a little bit with the building industry and where it's went over the last 2 years and why everyone's scared about these price increases and all that stuff, which I can tell you pretty much price increases and no build times and all that, they're pretty much stabilizing.
I'm going to say it right now on record. We're saying it once and never again are we talking about it, because I'm so over talking about this for the last 3 years. Okay, so this is it, right? And then we're done forever. Yeah, all cool. Right?
So look, again,
I never want to hear the word COVID out of my mouth on this podcast again. Okay.
Well, we can't talk about guests. Guests might mention it. I'm pretty sure someone will talk about it.
Okay, they'll be vetoed.
Yep. All right. Catherine has spoken, gentlemen and ladies. That is it. Look, so that's why we do what we do, building and building broking stuff. You know, a little bit of personal stuff. They also help the clients and, you know, and give them that and thing. But why the podcast? So the podcast, like we're saying, it's going back on that education.
Yeah, and just giving insight on what's actually happening currently. You know what I mean? A lot of people that write about construction obviously are more just journalists and they hear one thing and they use that angle obviously to drive traffic for whatever reason. So there's a lot of fear mongering. But I guess you could say that in real estate in general, there's always like, there's going to be a boom, there's going to be a crash, there's going to be a this. And like people just write shit just to write, you know. So it's really just giving insight to what's actually happening.
Yeah, and that's it. Right? It's insight and get some confidence back into the building market, because not all builders are like those big builders who shall not be named, who've eventually 2 years too late closed their doors. They're probably 70 or 8% responsible for this. But I get it. The grants came in, and that's why we'll go through in a second.
Yeah.
But it's to get some confidence. There's builders out there that are given guaranteed build times now and starting to get back to those realistic times. The borders are open, people are coming in. There's going to be another boom in Perth. It's happening. The overseas investors that we've got coming through the books, it's easy kind of money, I suppose, because they're just buying up and renting, because the rental market's huge. I mean, the mining industry is screaming for jobs. People can't fill jobs in Perth. I know the W Police have done another massive recruitment drive through Europe, so they're coming over. They're going to bring probably another 4 or 5, a couple of thousand cops. There's 20,000 other sort of immigrant kind of job seeking coming over as well. And there's no houses right now. So
I think
there's a boom coming.
You know, obviously I've been in this game for a while now, but I feel like people are always going to build. It's just who is building changes. So Tony and I, we worked at the same company for a few years, and that's how we sort of became friends. But in that time, besties, I feel like in that time, people that were building were more second, third home buyers. They already had their block. This was sort of their forever home, and they were very serious about having the exact house that they wanted. I would say well over majority of houses were sort of double story, very high end clientele for that period. So sort of just during COVID, if you will. But then before then, the market was very much first home buyers. I'm actually finding now a shift. I don't know if you agree with me. Most of my clients now are more the investor route.
Yep.
Just like pulling out stats, but like rent in Perth has gone up 17% across the board in the last 12 months. We're at 550 for medium 4x2 now in Perth, which is crazy. I was looking at Jindalee for one of my clients the other day. 28% increase in rent, Jindalee, last 12 months. 28%, Jindalee. Do you know where that is? Up there. The investor market makes so much sense right now, and I guess that's why most of the people that are looking at it are just looking at the numbers. They're like, let's invest in Perth. Now that the borders are open, it's just I would say in majority of my clients that they're just looking to get really good high rental yields and good equity.
Well, they have to get good rental yields because the interest rates are so high. Well, the different types of investors I'm seeing as well. So I've not dealt with these ones, but I've heard of them. They're buying up 4 or 5 blocks in a row and then just building 5 houses straight off the bat, right? I've heard of them up in Avonlea and stuff like that down that way.
Yeah.
A couple of ones that I'm working with now, we haven't secured anything yet, but they want to buy a house that they can subdivide the back, basically rent the front of the house out and then build on the back so they can get double income. Yep. And these are all cash buyers that are, they've got consortiums and stuff. So we're close to finalising one in Wellard, big block out there. So yeah, we're just doing that. But if you don't know how to subdivide, that's stuff that we can help with. We know the right people. We know how to do it.
Yeah.
Again, and that's why come to a broker. You don't have to come to us. You don't have to go through all these different companies to try and get it. We'll literally be like your mid-feed general. Everything feeds through us, and we've got the contacts and the people that we trust. Because if they some of the builders as well, and all people we use, if they don't give us a good service to you as a client, they're not going to just lose you. They're going to lose the next 10 deals from us. And we've done that before to builders, and they've come back and said, "Hey, what's happened? Hey, you didn't give us the customer service that you promised us at the start." Because we do sit down with these builders and have a good conversation with them and say, these are our expectations. These are the turnaround times for this. What are you telling us? If they're saying it's a 12-month, 13-month build time, that's fine as long as they tell us it, because we can, that might suit a client.
I'm really specific on what builders that I use. And I think even more so now than I was 2 years ago. The reason being is that's my name on the line. If I'm saying, hey, I really want you to build with Builder X for this project, that's my name on it. Yep. You know what I mean? Yep. And that's a lot of risk on my business to say, go with these guys. So it's like I am more selective than ever this year who I use to build with, for my client's sake.
Well, that's it. We're heavy referral based. Every client that we deal with, they'll refer us 2 or 3 times, and it's really good that way. And I like that, but you've got to keep on the grind. Look, I think I kind of lost my train of thought there, what I was going to talk about now. Just went out of my head.
No, but I mean, in terms of like referrals, so one of my clients, she wasn't looking at building equity, but it ended up sort of going that way for her, which I love. First home buyer with her husband, FIFO lady, really hardworking, amazing. Her package was like 610, and when basically before you build, you have to get a value to see if it's worth building, and it already came to 715, right, which is like unheard of to be like over 100 grand before we've even built it. We're at lockup now, and she actually called me the other day, and she's like, "Look, what's it called? End of financial year's coming, blah blah blah." She's like, "I'm just killing it in the FIFO world. What can I do? Can I draw equity, things like that?" I hit up my broker. We've already now refinancing it. So she's building in South Guildford, so she's near the airport. We got it valued. It's already 760. It's not even built yet. And this was like a 610 package. I just was like, what is happening? Do you know what I mean? So now we're actually looking at getting her like a 3x2 investor sort of thing, just so, she can grow. And she's so inspired. And she goes, "I'm so happy with the builder that I chose for this project." I said, to be honest, you might not get this builder again. It really depends what block we're going to get. You know what I mean? And that's just how it works. So the reason I chose that builder was, one, it was a noise thing because it's obviously near the airport and they do a really good deal, but not necessarily going to put them again depending on obviously where we're building, right?
We've done that as well, 2 points here, I suppose. I've got a good nice story to come after this one. But it was, we've had people that we've built with a builder and then they've recommended us and we've went, "Oh, I want to build with that builder." And you're like, cool. But this is why I don't think we should build with this builder because they don't specialise in battle axe blocks, or they're actually their build times have blown out. That's what, unfortunately, somebody sales rep won't tell you. We will tell you, and having that opportunity to take another builder is really, really good, right?
Yeah.
So talking about equity, I used to, I don't anymore, but I used to sponsor an ice hockey club, the Bravehearts, and I play for them now.
Yeah.
I've stupidly got back into the game, too old for it.
You are?
And one of the guys in there was buying some camping gear off a girl, Angela. Hello, how are you, Angela Cooney? And she was like, "Oh, I'm having to sell out because I need to move out because the rental's gone up,
Yeah.
And I need to," and he's like, "Have you ever looked at building?" So she's single mum, 3 kids, basically put me in connection with her. Loves Hall's Head down in Mandurah, found her the perfect plot, perfect builder, all done and dusted. The house is built under the 10-month mark. This was way back as well. And the time she built and got revalued, 198 grand she made in Hall's Head. 98 grand, she was like, Jesus Christ. I was like, she withdrew. I think I'm surmising. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember the conversation. She withdrew a little bit, done some touch ups to the house, like got the back garden done, and it was all finished and going, and then still paying less because she was a single mum. She had to go on the key start. But as soon as she got the house started, got the finance, she then jumped up. She then went FIFO. So then she increased her money and stuff. But again, that's where we can help. Like, I want to go FIFO. Yeah, you might need to wait a little bit longer because X, Y, Z, and we'll actually help you set out a plan. I've got multiple clients that I saw me a year ago and we haven't even got there yet because we've got X, Y, and Z to fill. I don't go, I'm not a big balloon not going, oh, you can't afford it, go away. No. Like, this is what we need to do. And put it back on the client, but say this is it, and it's amazing amount of like, right, yeah, we're in, let's get it done, and they get focused when they realise this is what needs to be done, but you've actually got this much and these will get you there, right?
You know what's I love sort of visual images, and something I use is the REWA map a lot, right? So I actually just got the new updated one for 2023. If you need it, I'll send it to you.
Yep.
But basically, I was looking at 2020 to 2023, which was like COVID, and now.
Is this median house price?
Yeah, the median house prices in Perth. So it does it by suburbs, so it's like color coded. It's shocking.
Sorry, just in case anyone doesn't know what a median house price is. A median house price is basically...
If you don't know what that is, I'm not sure why you're listening to this.
But we're here to educate Catherine. Okay. Come on. But median house price basically, it's like the average price of a 3x2, 4x2 and 5x2, and then they just take the averages. When you go into real estate or REWA, you can see like a 3x2, 4x2, and it gives you a rough idea what you're looking at. Sorry, just so I like to do that like education.
There are just pockets that have just completely skyrocketed, and we know why, obviously, because we know sort of infrastructure and things that are going there, and it's just silly. Like, honestly, I was looking. I remember.
I've got two suburbs in my head that are about to explode.
Which you will fall over when I tell you this. But like 2018, I was selling house and land packages in the 300,000s in Harrisdale.
When I got into it, it was just 400 to 420. It was like, and that was a lot.
Yeah, it was like 380. Harrisdale.
No way, they're about 800 grand now.
It's silly, right? So then I was looking at the 2020 map. Harrisdale was like 420 now. Now I got the 2023 600 average. I was like, shit, 5 years ago it was like 380, and I was like scrambling and, trying to make it under 400. You have to have 600 grand for Harrisdale now. It's just now Hilbert, Hayes, all that is growing.
Yeah.
It's 100 grand, honestly, different in that pocket.
Hilbert Haynes, people like, I'm not going down that way. I want to talk about that area just really quickly. I'll go into landing areas in the next couple of podcasts. But Gosnells, I'm telling you, Gosnells, it's cheap as chips out there. But if you ever watch where Stocklands builds estates, so they built Baldivis, boom, right? They built out Ellenbrook Way and all that, haven't they? They've done out there, right? They've built, it's called Sienna Woods, and it's in Hilbert Haynes, and they're dropping $8 million in a play park, $3 million in a play park, another one that's 200 metres away. These people, but they then put in the infrastructure, and they build the schools, they build the shopping centres and all that stuff.
They've got a really nice community centre and a library there and all that there.
Yeah, they really do it. So if you ever want to know an area, it's going to. So where's that sitting? It's right on that night, a little bit in between like the Gauzies, Armadale, Thornley coming back, and right on that, So
there's actually a lot of noise around Camilla, Armadale. Yeah, a lot of noise.
The Golden Triangle in Armadale, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot of land banking. The blocks there are over 1,000 square metres. I actually, funny enough, have a block there in Gosnells. Yeah, I bought it.
Was it 50 pence? Or 50 cents, sorry.
No, it wasn't. It was like 400 something, but this was like back ages ago, and we still got it. We just are holding it for land banking.
And it's not there yet. The prices aren't there yet. Yeah. They don't match up for what you're going to get rent return. But look at Gauzies. Also look at Balga. Balga's like right in the middle of dying. It's right in the middle there, right? And it's so cheap, and people aren't switching on to because it was government housing. It's not. It's getting turned over, and it's all these big blocks.
Yeah, the Balga region's really interesting because they're doing a lot of rezoning. So
wait to see it.
It's crazy.
I've got investors. I've got like two small blocks there.
Westminster's also a big one there. Yeah.
Westminster went off the charts. Anyway, we've got that's another podcast talking about that.
We talk nonsense. Sorry.
That's another podcast of what we talk about. Look, I want to take it back to one of the things we were going to promise to talk about is why the building industry is in the state it's in. And I don't want to say the word. I'll say it once and only.
The C word. We don't want to say the C word.
The C word, and it's not the Australian C word. It's the
not Catherine
worldwide.
either, so.
Yeah. So it hit hard, right? And then the government tried to do the right thing to stimulate the economy, and they brought out those grants. It was $20,000 state and $25,000 federal government, right?
Yeah.
So people were getting paid 45 grand, and right at the very start
and
when it
then
happened,
you get the
10K first homeowner loan.
Yeah, so people getting 55.
There was people landing at the sweet spot. So they got the 45 grand, got the houses at that 390K. I had a client down in the Belton, Sarah. She bought in Secret Harbour, and it was on like a raised block, but you could see the ocean. It was 500, 600 meters,
nice.
And it was like 390 she paid for it.
Yeah.
Well, she got the 45 grand on it. Had a bit of a deposit, went key start, built it, and it was built quick because they were still ahead of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's worth nearly 500, 600. There's people that have absolutely nailed it, right? But there wasn't many.
It's a timing thing. The people that won with that were the ones that were already in the system with a builder, right? So then basically, what happened was we sort of just shuffled the dates a little bit on some of my clients' contracts. So then obviously they were fine.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Someone shuffled it. It wasn't me, but they were the ones that won. The people that didn't win were the ones that were generally just looking into it once the grants sort of hit.
Literally, the grants were launched, and about 2-3 weeks later, it just exploded.
That was honestly, and I don't say this lightly, the worst time I've had in the building industry. It was probably a 3-week period where the media just exploded with these grants, and it was so bad because what happened was the shift changed from really getting genuine buyers that generally I could help and to work with. And what happened was the chaos, because I was still working with directly for a builder at that time. People were doing appointments in the hallways. I was doing it in my boss's office, in the car with clients on the road. It was so, I'm going to say unprofessional, because it was just this scramble and of chaotic scramble. And I felt like I wasn't doing right by my clients.
And you were like the client, are you sure? Take it away and come back to me. And they're like, no, because they don't want to lose the land, because the land was just going. And
this is when my shift in perspective actually changed, because what happened was I was really doing a lot of like infill design. So I was doing custom Victoria Park, custom Dianella at that time.
Higher end clients, like I said earlier.
Yeah, I do. But what happened was my builder goes, look, we're not building those houses. And I was like, what do you mean? I've been working with these clients for 6 months. We're like, we did these amazing designs. They've already bought the blocks. And they're like, no, we're not building them. And I was so upset because my clients, end up you having a really good relationship with them, and you're like, but they've already got a block, and now my builder won't build with them. What do I want to do? Because I still want to build their house. Like, I put so much thought into it. I'm like lying in bed changing the bloody laundry. And then that's when I moved them to another builder, and I said, look, unfortunately the builder I'm currently working with can't help you, but I'm going to move you. And I did, which, I think was in the best interest of the client at that time. And that's when I actually did go into brokering. For that reason, because I never want to be in a situation again where it's like I'm working directly for a builder and I put people in this situation that they feel like I can't help them.
Yeah. And when I saw the model and when I saw, I was like, that's the one for me. That's exactly what I could do. I can actually help. Yeah. So the grant. So it was like a 4 or 5 step process, and it was a perfect storm. And it wasn't a lot of the builders' faults or anything. It was like a perfect storm. So what happened was. Yeah. The C word happened, the grants came in and boosted the economy. So what? Now, I'm trying to remember the numbers. The numbers that we were projecting to build in 2020, 21, each year were like 40,000 or 36 to 40,000. W's never built more than 26,000. So the numbers don't work, right? Houses in a year, right?
I think it was something stupid like we signed up 20,000 builds, but we only had like 600 bricklayers.
Yeah.
And the borders were shut. So everyone's like, what do we do? All right, let's go. Brick veneer. Let's go timber frame. What do we do? We got no brickies.
And that's because we signed this massive amount of builds, right? And it was astronomical. Some are still under construction, still getting built right now, okay? And then what happened is we didn't have enough trades. And then what happened was where the price increases were going, well, as like anything, supply and demand. Now, brickies got a real hard time over this, and I don't blame the brickies for this, because brickies before the grants were getting anything between $95 to $1.20 a brick, which isn't a lot of money, right? For laying bricks. If you ever laid bricks, it's one of the toughest gigs out there.
I would not.
No, I wouldn't. You give me enough money to do it. And then companies were offering
$2. You'll pay me to watch me do it.
$2, yeah, definitely. Companies were paying them $2, $2.50, $3 to go and move. Now that was the going rate. Then that bumps up that the builder can't absorb that. That becomes the client has to pay that. It's like everything else. People say, well, the builder should absorb it. Well, I tell you, a lot of builders out there absorbed some of it and just put like basically just the cost. There was no markup and all that on there. And then we'll say, well, they shouldn't be a markup. Wait a minute, guys. If builders aren't making a profit, why would they be in the game? I get a lot of them are just breaking even at the moment after COVID and all that and stuff. But that's their choice to do that because they still want to help the clients, right? At the November 2020 Summit were the first company, and they're probably the third biggest out of the big ones. I'll go BGC, ABN, and Summit. Summit shut their doors and said, we're not taking on any more clients, purely because they don't think they can. And I've watched through some of the social groups, and Summit get a bit of a hard trap. I know they're still not doing double stories at the moment because they're just like, we can't service it. It's not because they don't want to, it's because they can't service the clients.
Yeah. And you know what? You streamline your business model until things are obviously back on track, which they are now,
We used to use, we still do use Summit. And at one point, they're like, we're not doing customs. And we're like, well, we can't, we don't know we can service every client that we used to use. Like, that's fine. They understood that. But the numbers that they've got going through there's great, right? So then it was the brickies, and then it was the carpenters and the roof chippies, and I think we're just coming to the end of the roof chippies now.
Yeah, the roofies were for a while.
Except for BGC, we're not talking about them. They got, unfortunately, in my opinion, got really greedy, and just smashed it without taking the point. Going, hold on, if we're signing 1,000 houses a month, can we actually support that?
Yeah.
No, you can't, right?
I remember there was this, I think it was an article on Facebook or something, and they were like, let's celebrate 1,000 sign-ups of homes. And I was like, that's not a good thing. You don't want to be one out of 1,000. Like, I'm not sure why you're promoting that. You don't want to be number 726, Well,
you
could see what was going to happen.
If we're hearing, still to date, we're hearing contracts being thrown out and saying, no, here's your deposit back.
Absolutely. I think in that whole COVID thing, Tony and I got really lucky. And I genuinely believe that because when we went to a broker model during the whole COVID period, the clients were so well looked after, and they were so scared. They're like, oh, the price increases and the delays. And we're like, look, we're really streamlining who we're building, and we're super strict. I think we had maybe 2 price increases I won't say their name, but one of my clients did. That was the fair one because the block wasn't titled for like 9 months or whatever. But, the stories I was hearing from my mates, like in the industry, I was like, I'm not having these conversations with my clients. Like we were so lucky with our business partners and our building partners that we came out really unscathed. That the noise, I was like, what you guys are talking about and what we were dealt with really was so different.
We did a few things, like if we knew that the block was a few months been titled or finance was going to take a little bit, we'd build a buffer into the package, right?
Yeah.
So we built 10, 15 grand. So if the price increases did happen, it wouldn't impact. And if they didn't need it, hey, they had 10 grand they could go mental at pre-start with, right? But look, once all those trades not in it, then the materials happened, and then we couldn't get the timber, then we couldn't get the bricks, they couldn't make the bricks fast enough, and that was what caused the perfect storm to blow everything out. And then it wasn't a case of what normally happens in the building game is, so you go, right, okay, I'm going to get the bricks delivered on Monday, the trade will be on Tuesday. It'll take 2 weeks to do the bricks, and then on the next following Thursday, I'll get the timber delivered. On a Friday, the roofies start.
Yeah.
We couldn't guarantee delivery times, so therefore they couldn't book the trades in, because if the trades rocked up, it wasn't there. They still had to pay the trades, and then they got another job, and it was like literally wait until the stuff was there, then book the trades in. The trades were 4 weeks behind, and do you see how that's another month, then another month, another month? And that's where we got really switched on to it and said, hey, look, you're looking at a 12 to 13 month build from slab down. Are you aware of this? Right, okay, hey, that's going to cost you X amount of dollars. However, this builder's still doing about 10 months. Yeah, they're 15 grand more expensive, but I tell you, that's going to save you money if you're paying rent and having to pay for the build.
Delays,
you could do it. And we would do that quite a few times.
I think COVID was an interesting time because you didn't want to go to the big dogs that were doing 1,000 signups. And I didn't want to put clients with startups. So what happened was there was a lot of companies that started up because they go, yep, we got all these grants. We're going to have all these builds. It's a great time to start a building company. Okay, plot twist, it wasn't. So it was like, okay, you don't want to go to the big dogs and you don't want to go to the startups. And it was these very niche medium builders that were like long-term established. And that's pretty much where we gave 80% of our clients to for that time. Now things are a little bit changing. We're going more into the investor market. Who I'm using slightly changes, but that's the whole point is different markets, different changes, different pivots.
We know that the first home buyers are struggling out there. We get that. But that's and the price increases are happening as I speak just now. I think the price increases were just at the start of the week there or last week, right?
Yeah.
The 12th one in 12 months, and there could be another one. Yeah, it's tough, but have a look at the stats at WA. We're still one of the cheapest states to live in and build in against the other, and we've got the capital to do it, the money to build it.
I was this is a funny little story. I was in the Gold Coast, and I was talking to a lady, and she goes, "Oh yeah, I'm doing a house and land package in Brisbane." I was like, "Oh, really?" So she pulls out her phone and she was showing me what you could do there. Obviously, the builds there are different. They're more like the Queenslander style. But what she had was basically a very simple 4x2 timber frame build. They do a lot of timber frames over in Brisbane. I couldn't believe the price. I honestly, it was like
That's twice you've swore, so that's $2 in a swear jar. And I'm Scottish, and I swear like a trooper, and I haven't swore once.
It was in the 400s for a very basic 4x2.
That's crazy.
And I was like, oh, it would be 100, 120 grand cheaper in Perth. And she was shocked by this, you know. And I just think it's a perspective thing, because in Perth we're like, oh, the price is so expensive. But I'm like, actually, we're really cheap compared to over east.
There was if you and we'll get him. We'll get one of the guys on again. I'll get him on to talk about this. But basically, the money, the annual income, right? The top Sydney and Perth, actually, the annual household income is about the same. I think Sydney makes $20 more, but Perth puts 35% of their income into their mortgage. Sydney's 60%. So it just shows you why we're all driving around our V8s and our jet skis and all. We've got the money if we needed it. I think not always, and please don't harm me with this. Not all people. I know there's people doing it really tough out there, but there are people that can't afford it. They just need to, tighten the belts. And remember, these interest rates won't stay forever. And that takes us on to it's not all doom and gloom, guys, right? Listen to the podcast, and we'll take you through the journey of how to actually do what we do. And if you're still not sure, because there's a lot of inside knowledge that we've got, come and speak to us. Message us through this, or message Catherine through the Bill Bright website, or me through Evolution House and Land Specialist. Happy to help you either way. And you'll always get one or two of us. Oh, both of us working on stuff, we're happy to do it. But we'll help you choose the right builder. And if you've got any concerns with that builder, we'll and maybe we haven't picked up on it, we'll challenge the builder. Look, build times, they're outside of the big builder and anyone that's signed up. I'm talking about now. If you're signing up now, right?
Yeah.
We're seeing people giving you 12-month guaranteed build times.
I actually haven't had any build delays for ages. I can't even remember a conversation I've had about it.
But that's huge for us now that builders are giving 12-month guaranteed build times. And we're seeing them building within 9 and 10 months now, which is getting back to those normal times, right?
We'll call it PC.
Pre-C. But so we're trending in the right direction. My personal feeling is we're going to get another boom. Probably, I reckon it's probably going to be next year. I just think the interest rates will maybe start dropping just before Christmas. But again, hey, maybe we should get a finance expert on here. Maybe that'll be the next episode. We'll get a finance expert.
There's a lot to say about finance at the moment.
I think
it's a hot topic.
But that's my thing. But again, remember, there's never a bad time to build if you go through the right process and go, right, can I afford this? This is feasible. Especially if you've got a bit of equity in your house. Use that equity build again, rent out your current one. You're going to cover it off, right?
Right now, it's an investor market. Whether you want to refinance and look at doing that, or you just generally want to just invest in some sort of affordable property, I think I'm 2023. I'm calling it the investor year, sure.
Oh, definitely, and it's going to the thing. But look, I think that's really probably us for the first episode. Thank you, everyone.
I think we did great, Tony. Yeah, I'm going to give us a 7.5.
Well, look, I think you've done great because it's your first one, so well done. I've done a few previous to this, same sort of thing, so it's good.
Yeah.
But look, thanks, everyone. Again, Evolution House and Land Specialist, if you need to speak to me or
Catherine at Build Bright, or just hit us up on our socials for Build Out West.
Yeah, and you'll get one of us, and we're happy to go in. Look, we'd love you to share, comment, everything on the post, get the word out there, because we are trying to do the good work to get the building industry back to where it should be, and get rid of all those horror stories that are out there, because they're not really happening anymore. The horror stories we're hearing, guys, are the ones that signed up a year, 18 months ago, right? And they're still stuck in there with the company that we're not going to name, however, because we're not going to badmouth them because they've just had a bad period. But I think, that's really it. I suppose I'm just mumbling now, aren't I?
Yeah, mumble away. Goodbye.
Right, well,
see you later.
Thank you very much. See you later. Goodbye.
Bye.